And I've talked about this on your show, but they wanted to put long rods in my spine, the length of my spine pretty much, because the 6 vertebrae were right in the middle of my spine, T8, T9, T10, T11, T12, and L1. And the top one had broken more than 60%, compressed more than 60%, and the neural arch was broken like a pretzel, So anyway, you drill the rods in and it cantilevers the spine, the spinal column off the spinal cord.
It's not much flexibility in that afterwards.
That was my big thing, right? Because we had 4 opinions from 4 leading surgeons, and they were all saying surgery, surgery, surgery. In 1986, you really just didn't tell a doctor you weren't going to have surgery. In fact, they thought I had a head injury when I was saying I don't want to have the surgery. But I thought, listen, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. They're telling me I'm going to be paralyzed either way, so why don't I roll the dice, right? And just take a chance. There's a intelligence that's giving me life. Okay, it's a consciousness. It must be aware of me. And when you're conscious, you're aware. When you're aware, you're paying attention. When you're paying attention, you're present. So if it's a consciousness, it's present with me. So I got to get present with it. I got to give it a plan. I give it a design. I got to give it a very specific orders. And then I got to surrender because I can't do it. This intelligence knows how to heal way better than I do. Anyway, theoretically, it sounds really good, but I couldn't get my mind to do what I wanted it to do. I just kept going to the worst case scenario. I'm going to live in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. Should I sell my practice? Should I sell my home? I'm never going to walk again, And I couldn't control my mind. And that was the part that really intrigued me the most, because I read the book where the mystics were doing all these kind of incredible miracles and healings. And I witnessed some of the powers of the mind when I was doing hypnosis, and I knew I had to get beyond my analytical thinking mind to get into the operating system to make a change, and I couldn't control my mind. And it was a dark night of the soul for me, because I kept going to the worst case scenario instead of the future that I wanted. And I think when we're pressed in stress or survival, you always prepare for the worst, right? There's better chances of survival. So for me, I couldn't control my mind, and that became the obsession. And it took me hours and hours. I have nothing else to do, really. It took me hours and hours and hours to really go through a process, and where I felt like I was complete enough and present enough that I gave it a good message. Because if my mind was wandering all over the place, I knew that the signal I was giving it wasn't clear.